right. Hi, friends. So today we are going to do a bell ringer. We'll have a very quick mini lesson, then do some independent writing, and finally, y'all will finish out with a journal. We are working on standard W9.5, which doesn't mean much to you, but our objective is I can write the first draft of my TED Talk. So by the end of class, you should have written a first draft of your project that is due Friday. All right, so the very first thing I want to do with this class is I want to sort of look at this photograph and sort of analyze it. So before we do anything, before I talk at all, I want you to pause this video and take, I know this says 1 minute, but I actually want you to take 2 because I think it would be beneficial if you just took 2 minutes and did a little free writing. So what does this photo make you think or feel? What is going on here? Just take a second and write about that. So go ahead and pause the video and write about that. All right, so what I see when I look at this picture is likely a mother and a daughter. The mom is either putting on this little girl and helping her tie her shoe, or I don't know, it's kind of weird. They have this plastic bag here. She's doing something. And if you look really closely, you can kind of tell that the mom isn't wearing her shoelaces, which is kind of interesting. Then another sort of important thing, I think, is to look at these men. They're not in the foreground, right? Foreground means the front. These 2 women are obviously in the front of this photograph. They're in the foreground. But in the background, we can see these 2 men, and there's actually another man here, and this car with really bright headlights. And this man right here has a gun. He appears like he might be a cop. Like if you see sort of the way he's standing and there's something that looks like, a belt, a holster maybe that the cop might have. And he has just kind of the shoes that cops typically have. And so it's easy to assume that this is a cop and something's going on with a mother and a child and their shoes, right? That's what you can see. Now, what I'm asking y'all to do is we're learning how to analyze some things that aren't literature. English, at one time in your life, in the simpler time, English was reading, writing, and speaking. But in 2020, when the world is crazy, now suddenly it's become even more important for us to be able to analyze things like pictures or analyze things like videos and movies. So these are some vocabulary words and terms I want y'all to sort of look at and learn and understand, because I want you to be able to look at a photo like this. No, I lied. I'm sorry. Oh no, I closed it. I did a stupid. I made a mistake. All right, so look at a photo.
Teachers, pardon the interruption. Thank you all for a great first day back on campus. I know everything was not perfect, but I would like your feedback as to what we can do to make things a little bit smoother. So if you will, send that email to Dr. Fisher and just give me some feedback as I work with the admin team to make everything smoother. Thank you all for what you do.
All right, so I want y'all to be able to use this terminology, and I want you to be able to critique and analyze media, just like we analyze literature. So looking at this photograph, what is going on? Who is our subject of the photograph? Who is in the foreground? Who is in the background? What is the composition? And those are things that are weird and different, right? But I have the definitions right there for you. Now, I will say that I went ahead last night and wrote up an example for you. So I have a photograph And then I have each of the words, and this is what I want you to do. Take each of those words and then talk about what's going on in the picture using that information that you have up here. So using these definitions, I want you to explain the composition of the photograph and why it might be important. So for example, in this picture, I said, the foreground of this picture is hard to identify. Why do I say that? Because it looks difficult to identify. There's a lot going on in that picture. There's not one thing that kind of screams, this is me, this is the big part. I said, of course, the gentlemen photographed are the closest to the viewer, but in this case, I'm not sure if they're the most important, because I think this particular picture has a lot you could talk about. Now, I would analyze this further for you, but I'm actually going to make a whole video for this photo analysis that we're going to do. So I'm going to pause this conversation. Just know that this right here, you have your lesson. This is your lesson, your vocabulary. You have an example. This is your model. And then you are going to have a photo a day. So we have this sweet photo of the mom and the child. And this right here is our caption and the photographer. You will analyze the photo for each of those vocabulary words, and then you'll analyze for the significance. Down here, whoop, and then you have one for each day. So that was the Tuesday. Photo 3 is Wednesday. Photo 4 is, wait, can I count? 3. Oh no, Miss Withers made us silly. My numbers are incorrect, but you can figure it out. They're in order for the day. Okay. So that's what you're going to do for that assignment. And this is not going to be perfect. We're learning this together, and that's okay. But I do want you to take some time and try to figure out, what do these photos really mean? How can we break down composition, perspective, all of that good stuff? All right, so we're going to go ahead and close that. Now it is time to talk about our dreaded project, because that's what we're doing today. We are creating a draft for our project. Before we can do that, let's review what is going on with our project. So our project, we know that our driving questions of the unit are, what does it mean to be an American? And then how does the concept of identity connect to that idea of being an American? And your task is to create a TED Talk discussing this question. So the question is, how do the realities of immigrants' experiences reflect or fail to reflect American ideals? I need to remind you for the 10th time that this is the question. This is the question you are writing about. You need to use at least 4 texts that we've read in class. It must be typed, turned into Google Classroom, and then performed and posted to Flipgrid. We will get there, so don't worry about that part. I sort of explain what those American ideals are. I give you some options of topic sentences. And then I also, for your convenience, have added this table that tells you all of the text we've read and gives you links to the text and then links to the video if there is one. So hopefully that will be helpful to you. All right, so for my example, the paragraph I am going to create a draft for, I am using this particular question. How does the author of A Quilt of a Country support her point? So mine is different than yours. Mine is not based off of this question. So I don't want to see my topic sentence on your paper because this is your question for the paper, whereas this is my question for the example. I did that on purpose, friends. Please hear that. Alrighty, so you are going to use this free write you are going to use the Jamboard or your mind map, and you can also use your outline you created. You are going to use whichever one of those brainstorming activities was most helpful to you to help you build your first draft. Now, I want to take just a second to explain to you why I ask you to do these different kinds of brainstorming activities, because they're all, you probably thought as you were doing them, this is all asking me to do the same thing. And you're sort of right. Your free write, you were sort of coming up with the same ideas as you did in your mind map. And the same goes for an outline. But I ask you to do this for a very serious reason. I want you, as young writers, to learn what is most helpful to you. Miss Withers, every time, I'm still in graduate school, I still write papers. Every time I create a paper, every time I have a teacher that tells me I have to do a paper, I create a mind map. This is my most been, I don't like outlines. Outlines don't help me at all. Not at all. But a mind map does. I jot down the big idea in the middle, and then I throw my little ideas around it, and then I draw all these lines, and that is very helpful to me. So the different styles of brainstorming techniques will be different for different people, and you as a student have got to slowly figure out for yourself what is most beneficial. So this year, I am going to ask you to do all of them because I want you to be able to practice them all and you have that skill. Because later, when your teacher doesn't assign you a brainstorming technique, they just say brainstorm for your paper, I want you to know what that means. All right. On to the actual assignment. So what we are going to do is we are going to take this example and I'm going to write a first draft for you, a short first draft, but a first draft nonetheless. I wish I could make this go away. All right, so remember I put, oh wait, where's the rest of my top? Oh, there it is. Okay, so remember our topic sentence is in the middle. So I'm going to copy that because I like my topic sentence and I'm going to put it right here in this draft. So the author of A Quilt of a that is not spelled correctly. Ooh, fixed it. The author of A Quilt of a Country supports her point by using tons of flowery images, metaphors, and similes. Now, is that a perfect topic sentence? No, but it is a good place to start. And this is just our first draft, so we're going to go with that. Now, after we have our topic sentence, we've restated our question. Ooh, let's get those letters up here. Let's do 30. We have restated. We have answered. Now we need to cite and we need to explain. And then we'll need to sum it up, right? We've got our races, which I know I haven't been referring to that as much because I think you should have a pretty firm grasp on this. Because you've been writing paragraphs, so you should have a pretty firm grasp on it. But remember, this is how we write a paper. And I don't know if you've noticed, but Miss Withers likes to color code stuff. All right, so our next step, right, is to come up with evidence. How can we support what we already have there? Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to go back to my Jamboard. I'm going to come back to my mind map. I have 3 pieces of evidence, but I want to start with the title, A Quilt of a Country. It's a metaphor. So what I'm going to do, oh, wrong one. I'm going to close that because my word dump was not helpful to me. All right, so let's see. I'm going to be very basic. I'm going to say, for example, the very title of A Quilt of a Country is a metaphor. Whoa. So, because Miss Withers loves to color code, let's take a second. We're going to highlight that in red because that's our topic. We're going to highlight this in yellow because that's our evidence. We're trying to kind of match it over there. And then we got to explain it, right? How does this support our topic sentence? So first we got to sort of unpack that metaphor. So this metaphor, we're going to say, by using this metaphor, the author creates an image in the reader's mind, making her point more clear. I'm going to do a hyphen. She believes that America as a country has been stitched together like the colorful patchwork of a quilt. And this is just me I'm just sort of drafting, right? It's not perfect. It definitely needs a little help. But we're slowly coming up with answers to how this is similar, right? And I could keep going. Obviously, I have 2 other points. And if I was writing a real paragraph, I would go into this quote. What is the point of a splintered hole? That's a metaphor. And I would talk about why that's significant. I would unpack the phrase mongrel nation. That is a big image that we're looking at. Why would she use that image for America, the place we're supposed to love? I would do that, and I'm going to, but I'm not going to make you watch me do that. Right now, I want to take a second. I want to make a concluding sentence because I know we didn't do these in small groups. Our concluding sentence is going to be a restatement of our topic. So we're going to sort of take our topic sentence and put it in different words. So we're going to change the color, right? We're going to make it blue. Thus, by utilizing, you could say thus, or you could say therefore. Ooh, I like therefore better. Therefore, by utilizing, I'm going to say figurative language, because if you notice, flowery images, metaphors, and similes are all parts of figurative language. So therefore, by utilizing figurative language in her essay, the author supports her point that, and since this is our concluding sentence, I want to actually restate that point because we've been talking about it. So, supports her point that even though America isn't perfect, it has been created from many cultures and survived despite their differences. Because when you look back, when you think back to that text, that is essentially what they were attempting to say. That's what the author was building to, is that yes, we're not perfect. Yes, we have these contradictions. Yes, we're a mongrel nation. But we could have fallen apart so many times, and we didn't. Okay, just to review, this is not a perfect paragraph. This is not a perfect speech. But it is my first draft. And so what you're going to do today, what you're going to do with your final project is you are going to unpack this question in a draft. And then tomorrow we will work on making that draft even better together. All right, thank you so much, and I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Email me if you need me. Bye-bye.